Howdy all, Les from FutureFX here. And now that we have Trend Trader Plus available with all its new and exciting features, we need to have a new settings video because there are a few new settings and it does work a little differently to previously. So let's get into the settings video. Okay guys, here we are on the MT4 and you'll see I have Trend Trader Plus installed, as well as a whole heap of the previous versions. But I'm going to assume you know how to install the Trend Trader Plus file. If this is your first time setting up an EA, one of the other videos in the playlist will tell you how to download and install it. There'll also be another video in that playlist showing you how to actually attach it to a chart and input different templates and things like that. So there's other videos on that. This one's going to kick off from there with us already having the software on the screen. And at the moment it's Sunday, so the markets are closed, so it's not displaying all of the features. Let me just try this. Okay, I just quickly use the back testing feature just to show you the display. This is how it will look once the markets are opened and you're using it. It shows you the 15-minute trend, 1 hour trend, 4 hour trend, and this writing is in red. If all of these three trends line up, either all buys or all sells, that writing turns green. I'll whiz through a little bit of the back tester so I can show you that in a minute. And over here we have a built-in lot size calculator. So you input the risk and it tells you what lot size you need to use. But let's jump back onto the real chart. And like any EA, if you just click on this smiley face, which is sad at the moment because I had him turned off, it brings up the settings. The other option is you can right click, bring up the menu, go to expert advisors and properties, and it does exactly the same thing. So let's just go through, well, just quickly, I'll go through the new features and then I'll go through all the rest as well. So if you're a previous user and you're only interested in the new features at the moment, you can just watch this first part of this video. Everyone else need to watch all of it. Okay, so the biggest difference with this latest update is that previously the software could only take out one trade per pair at any one time. So you would never have two trades on the one pair going at once. One trade would open and it would play out. Once it had closed, either profit or loss, then it would look for a new entry to have another trade. If you were trading 10 pairs, you could potentially have 10 trades open at once, but I've never seen more than 5. And plus we also have the max trade setting here, which I have set at 10, but you could set that at 5 and then you would never ever get more than 5 trades at once. Now, however, the software can take out multiple trades on the one pair and have them open at the same time, but still only if all the criteria that it previously needed was met. So, sometimes you'll have a trade that might take a week to play out, and during that week, another good setup could occur, and now the software can take out a second trade. So we also have a max trades per pair setting now. And in all of my back testing results in those settings, for the optimized settings, I've used a max trades per pair of 5. But between these two settings, you can now, you've got those two settings to determine how many trades you want the software to take out. So it depends on your risk settings, your risk appetite yourself, and exactly what you're trading. And by that I mean, you might be trading a personal account and you don't mind lots of risk, or you might be trading a prop account and you have to be really careful with that drawdown. So, you could have a max trades per pair of 5 and you could have a max in total of 10. That could be 1 trade on 10 pairs. It could be 5 trades per pair on just 2 pairs. But once that max trades in total is hit, it can't open up anymore anyway. And once 5 trades is hit on 1 pair, you can't open up anymore there. Of course, you may want to limit that even more and still just have 5 max trades, whatever. But that's just those 2 settings will be how you determine how many trades you want to have potentially open at any one time. And that combined, of course, with the lot size will give you the maximum potential drawdown or potential loss at any one time. So that's the main new feature. We also have one more setting up here, which is the entry type. Okay, so the default is 0, and 0 is exactly the same entry type as the previous versions. All right, so if you like the way the previous version works and you just want to use it exactly the same, you can just leave the entry type on 0, and put the max trades per pair, put that down to 1. And now like that, this new version will work 100% exactly the same as the earlier versions, just so you know. We now can also have entry type 1, entry type 2, or entry type 3. I won't go into exactly what the difference is there, but it still requires all the same criteria before it takes out a trade, as in that it needs the 3 trends to line up, it needs that retracement, and just the last little part of it all, the entry type, it just helps determine. So if you don't know, the software needs 3 timeframes to line up. It then looks for a little bit of a pullback and then confirmation that trend is continuing before it takes out a trade. The entry type, it just works on that last little piece of working out, getting confirmation that trend is continuing. And it's just some slightly different variables there in order for it to determine that. Why I have a few different entry types there now is it will allow us to trade on different time frames, have more optimization control, which will allow us to have profitable settings for more pairs, more profit, hopefully less drawdown. Sometimes the new setup, the new update gives us more profit with less drawdown. Sometimes it's more profit with similar drawdown. I've sort of rushed to push this out a little bit, so I don't have optimized settings for, any real new extra pairs yet, but I believe that with all this extra optimizing control, we'll be able to find good settings for more pairs than we previously have been able to. All right, so on this one, Euro US, we actually use entry type 2, and we're actually trading on the 5-minute time frame. So previously, everything had to be on the 15-minute time frame. Now some of the optimized settings will also be on the 5-minute, and I've also played with the 1-minute. You probably might have seen some previous videos where I did some back testing just over a short period of time, and I had some phenomenal results on the 1-minute, and mostly on the 1-minute, but also on the 5-minute. Back testing over a larger period of time. Most of the time, 5 minutes worked out better than 1 minute. There's possibly some exceptions that I'm just working on, and some are still best on the 15 minutes. So in the optimized settings pictures now, we'll also tell you what time frame to run that pair on. All right, so that's really all the new stuff, guys. I'm going to just go through all the other settings now. So if you're a previous user, you probably don't need to hear any more of this. But I'll just one quick thing, guys, down here, minutes per trade. Just leave that on 15. I'll be actually removing that as a user adjustable setting because I just want that to be on 15. So don't worry about that one at all. So now we'll go through the rest of the settings. Just one thing quickly for the previous users. On most of, all except for one pair, we have a much better, or even that pair is still better, but not much better, a better risk to reward ratio. So on some of the other settings, the take profit was closer than the stop loss. So we had a negative risk to reward. They were still worthwhile settings. They still, made worthwhile profit long term and all that. But personally, I prefer to have a good risk to reward ratio, as I'm sure most people do. So now you'll find, because of these extra settings and optimizable stuff, we can now, I've worked on 8 different pairs now, and I've been able to get a much better risk to reward ratio that still works out nice and profitable. All right, so going through all the settings for new people, obviously take profit and stop loss, that is pretty obvious. This is in points, not pips. There are 10 points to a pip. And the optimized settings for all the Forex pairs, you'll just enter exactly as this. It won't matter what broker you're on. You just enter them exactly the same. On things like gold, crypto, and indices, that could vary between brokers. So you'll just have to have a little measure yourself and work it out, or ask for a little bit of help there. Some brokers will require an extra 0 to be added. It's just in the way that they calculate their pips. Okay, lot size and risk percentage. Now, if you enter the risk, if you want to risk 1% of your account balance per trade, you just enter 1 there. And then what you do, and it's not doing it because the markets aren't open, but then it will display the lot size and risk here, just like this. So it will tell you that if you've entered a 1% risk per risk setting, it'll tell you that the lot size you need for a 1% risk is 0.37. So then you just jump back in here and you'd put in 0.37 as your lot size, and then you're good to go. Then you know that if your stop loss gets hit, you're going to lose 1% of your account balance. So that works that out by the risk setting you put in, and also your account balance. So it's off your account balance. All right, moving on to the next settings. We have profit lock activate. Sorry, first profit lock activate and first profit lock. Those two settings work in conjunction with each other. And simply what it is once this trade gets into 600 points of profit, it's going to move that stop loss up to 450 points of profit. So we've moved the stop loss in front of the entry point, making it a no risk trade and locking in 450 points of profit. Magic number, you don't even need to know what that is. That's just how the software identifies the trades that it has taken out, as opposed to trades that another software or a manual trade. So it can tell the difference there. I was meaning to remove that as an editable bloody feature, but you can change that number if you want. It won't make any difference at all to how the software works. And then we have the second profit lock activate and second profit lock. Those two work in conjunction together, exactly the same as profit lock 1 did. But once it gets into 1,200 points of profit, it's going to move the stop loss up to 900 points of profit. max spread allowed. The default setting is 30, and that will be suitable for all the Forex pairs. Not most of the Forex pairs. If you're trading some of the exotics, you may have to have a higher spread setting. One that some of us have been trading is pound New Zealand dollars. And on some brokers, I've been increasing this to 45. On some brokers, 30 is still fine. All you need to do is come over to your market watch and make sure you have the spreads showing here. And if you don't have the spreads showing, so this column here is the spreads. If you don't have that showing, just right click and come down and check the spread, and then it will be showing. So, you can see that the spreads are all different per pair. On US 30, it's 48. So with the maximum spread setting of 30, it's not going to take out any trades. So on this broker, which is Pepperstone, if I'm trading US 30, I know that the spread quite often gets up to 48. So I'll just leave my spread setting at 50. The whole idea of the spread setting is just to stop the software taking out any trades when there is excessive spread. And this can occur during red folder news events, at the market open each morning, like when the market opens of a morning or of a night, depending on where you are in the world. For the first hour or so, the spreads can be excessive. And if you take out any trades during that time, that excessive spread will cut into your profits. The spreads can be that high that it can be basically impossible to make a profit off that trade. So you don't want to be taking out trades at that time. MA trend, that's also another setting that will be getting removed shortly. Most likely the Trend Trader Plus version I send you won't have that option in it. That's just me, the developers one. I have that just for adjusting and playing and trying to improve the software. So you won't have that option in your version. Likewise, you most likely won't have this bottom option in yours as well. But max trades per pair, we talked about that. And max trades in total, we talked about that. Just have that wherever you like. Now we have two more settings, partial close and partial close amount. Those two work together so that once the trade's in 300 points of profit, the software will close out a portion of your trade. So in this case, once it's in 300 points, we needed to put our lot size up to what our calculator told us. But then once it's in 300 points of profit, it's going to close out 0.01 of your trade. So if you had a 0.37 lot size trade, now you'll only have a 0.36 lot size trade. And then we have the partial close to and partial close amount, or two. And that's exactly the same as the first one, but you will, in this case, once it's in 800 points of profit, you're going to get it to close out 0.02. Okay, the partial close amounts aren't part of the optimized settings. I don't include them in that because I'm going to leave that to personal choice. On some pairs, it makes absolutely no difference to the long-term average profit that you make. On some pairs, it will make you a little bit more, but not a great amount. But what it does is it smooths out the profit curve so that you've got more regular profits coming in from week to week. It makes the software feel better to use, but doesn't make a huge difference long-term. But I'll tell you how I like to use the partial closes myself. If my first profit lock is at 600, I will either set the partial close at the same as profit lock or just a little bit higher. I won't set it as less than the profit lock. So we'll set it at 600 and get it to close out 0.01, possibly a bit more than that, depending on your lot size. And then my second partial close, I like to be either the same as the second profit lock or slightly less or slightly more. This is a pretty high profit lock, so I would probably, maybe set it at 1100 and then it will close out a little bit more there. The one thing you can't do, which will negatively affect your long-term average, is close out too much too early on the partial closes. So, if I set that at 0.10 and down here at 0.20, you can see by the time we got to 1100, we'd have closed out 0.3. So we only have 0.07 left to go right through to take profit. So we would make less money long term if we did that. So close out small portions with your partial closes. Just make sure you don't close out too much too early. All right, guys, so that's actually all the settings. Let me think. Was there anything else I wanted to go through? Not really. I think that covers it. The common tab here, you will need to make sure you have allow live trading checked. Smiley face is still sad. That's because I have auto trading turned off here as well. Now he's smiling. Okay, as long as you have the face smiling, the software is working. If you have that one turned off, or if you have that one unchecked, it will be a sad face and therefore not working. Other things that can stop the software taking out trades would be if your lot size was incompatible with your broker. Okay, so depending on what you're trading and what broker you're using, they will have a minimum lot size. Most Forex pairs will be 0.01 on pretty much all brokers. Indices and other instruments can be different though. On Pepperstone, the minimum lot size on indices is 0.1. And so there's no second decimal. So you can have 0.1, you can have 0.2, 0.3, but you can't have 0.37. So if I was trading, let's say US30, which is an indice with a minimum lot size of 0.1, if I entered 0.37, that's not a lot size that can be taken out. So you will get no trades. However, if I put it at 0.3, now I would get trades. The max spread setting, if you have that too low and the actual spread on that instrument is higher than it most of the time, that will stop the software taking out trades. So that's really all that can stop the software taking out trades. One more quick note on the partial closes. If I was trading 0.01 lot size, which is the smallest possible lot size there is, I can't close a portion of that because the minimum I could close would be 0.01, which would cancel out the whole trade. So when you're looking at, if you've got a small account balance and you're just trading 0.01 lot size, then you can't use the partial close amounts. So you just need to leave them both set at 0. I wouldn't personally use the partial closes unless I had more than a 0.04 lot size. And then I would just close out a 0.01 on the first partial close and not use a second partial close. Once you get up to larger account balances and you're using much larger lot sizes, then you can really take advantage of the partial closes. All right, guys, that's it, really. That's all the settings. One thing I will touch on, though, is what you can't do. Okay, you need to make sure the smiley face is smiling from that auto trading button and the allow live trading box in the common tab here. Make sure they're all checked and turned on. so that he is smiling. You can't close the MT4 platform. If you close the MT4 platform with this red X up in the top right-hand corner, that is the same as turning off the software, because the actual trading platform will be closed and no trades can occur. If you have trades already open, they will have a take profit and a stop loss already in place sent through to the broker. So they will continue to play out like that. But if the MT4 is closed, the software can't manage that trade. So the profit locks and the partial closes won't be able to work, and no new trades will be able to be taken out. So make sure you don't close it with that red X. You can minimize the MT4 platform. Generally, we're running all this on a VPS as well. So you will find that you can either close or minimize the VPS. That's fine, because the MT4 platform will still be opened on the VPS. Just make sure you never click that red X, in other words. All right, guys, that should cover everything. If you've got any questions, of course, feel free to ask. Have a great week's trading.